Why do most people fail at self-discipline? Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher who lived nearly 2,000 years ago, believed the answer is simple. People confuse what they can control with what they cannot. And when you misunderstand this, discipline collapses before it even begins. Think about it. How many times have you promised yourself to wake up early, eat healthier, or stay consistent with a workout routine only to quit after a few days? Most of us blame laziness or lack of willpower. But Epictetus would say the real problem is a failure to understand what is truly in our power. He reminds us, external events are not under your control, but your choices, your actions, and your responses always are. Discipline fails the moment you focus on the wrong target. You cannot control how easy or hard a day will be. You cannot control other people's opinions, but you can control whether you show up, whether you take the first step, whether you act according to your values. The first brutal lesson from Epictetus is this: stop trying to discipline what is outside of your control. When you build discipline around the external world, whether that's praise from others, ideal conditions, or perfect motivation, you will always fail. True self-discipline starts only when you recognize that your habits, your decisions, and your daily choices belong to you and no one else. The second reason people fail at discipline, according to Epictetus, is that they live without clarity of purpose. Discipline without a clear aim is like a soldier without orders. He may march, he may fight, but he has no idea what the battle is for. Epictetus insisted that before you act, you must define what matters most. Ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to become? What values do I want to embody? Once this is clear, discipline stops feeling like punishment. It becomes alignment. Your actions match the person you aspire to be. Here's a simple but powerful exercise. Write down one value you want to embody. Maybe courage, patience, or consistency. Then ask, what is one action today that reflects this value? If you choose courage, maybe it's speaking up in a meeting. If you choose consistency, maybe it's writing one page, even when you don't feel like it. When your discipline is tied to a value, it has a foundation. Without that foundation, it crumbles the first time life gets difficult. The third reason most people fail at self-discipline is because they are slaves to their impulses. Epictetus compared an undisciplined mind to a dog tied to a moving cart. The dog can either walk calmly or be dragged, but the cart will move regardless. When you live at the mercy of your impulses, you're that dog, constantly pulled by craving, comfort, or fear. Discipline is not about eliminating desires, it's about learning to master them. Epictetus taught that the key is awareness. The moment an impulse arises, the urge to procrastinate, to quit, to give in, pause and recognize it for what it is, a passing thought, not a command. The undisciplined person obeys every urge. The disciplined person observes, reflects, and decides whether to act. Try this. The next time you feel the pull of distraction, don't act immediately. Instead, count slowly to 10. This small gap gives your rational mind a chance to step in before the impulse takes over. Epictetus would say that in this gap lies the seed of freedom, the power to choose instead of being controlled. So far, we've uncovered 3 lessons from Epictetus on why most people fail at self-discipline. They focus on what they can't control. They lack clarity of purpose, and they become slaves to their impulses. Each of these is a trap, and unless you recognize them, you will continue to stumble on the path of discipline. But there are still deeper truths Epictetus taught, lessons about consistency, endurance, and how to treat failure itself. The fourth reason people fail at self-discipline, according to Epictetus, is inconsistency. They start with enthusiasm, but they don't endure. In the beginning, discipline feels exciting. You buy the new planner, the gym membership, or the course. But when the novelty fades, so does the commitment. Epictetus warned that discipline is not about short bursts of effort. It's about persistence, day after day, even when the results are invisible. He wrote that no great thing is created suddenly, just as a tree does not grow overnight. It takes time, patience, and steady cultivation. Inconsistency kills discipline because it teaches your mind that quitting is always an option. How do we fight inconsistency? By lowering the barrier to action. Most people quit because they aim too high too soon. They want to meditate for an hour, run 5 miles, or write a whole chapter. When they fail, they give up completely. Epictetus would say, start smaller. Instead of aiming for perfection, aim for presence. 5 minutes of meditation is better than none. A single paragraph is better than a blank page. A short workout is better than no workout. The consistency builds momentum, and momentum builds strength. The fifth reason discipline fails is because people misunderstand failure itself. They see it as the end rather than part of the process. Epictetus reminded his students that setbacks are inevitable, but they are not final. Imagine someone trying to quit smoking. They relapse after a week and declare themselves a failure. Epictetus would challenge this thinking. He would say, falling down is not the problem, refusing to rise again is. Failure is information, feedback about where your weaknesses are. True discipline is forged in these moments when you learn from mistakes instead of letting them define you. Here's a mindset shift inspired by Epictetus. Every failure is training. When you stumble, instead of asking, why am I so weak? Ask, what can this teach me? What muscle of the mind is being tested here? In this way, even failure becomes fuel for discipline. The undisciplined person gives up. The disciplined person uses failure as a stepping stone. Let's review. According to Epictetus, most people fail at self-discipline for 5 reasons. They focus on what they can't control. They live without clarity of purpose. They become slaves to impulses. They are inconsistent, and they misinterpret failure. Each of these is a trap of the undisciplined mind. But if you reverse them, if you focus only on what is within your power, if you live with a clear purpose, if you master your impulses, if you remain consistent, and if you embrace failure as training, then discipline stops being a struggle. It becomes a way of life. Epictetus, who was born a slave and rose to become one of the greatest philosophers of his time, proved that discipline is not about privilege or perfect conditions. It's about choices. Every day and every moment you face a choice. Will you obey impulse, or will you choose reason? Will you quit when it gets hard, or will you stay the course? Will you run from failure, or will you use it to grow stronger? The answers to these questions will shape not only your discipline, but your destiny. So, the next time you feel your willpower fading, remember the lessons of Epictetus. Discipline is not something you wait for. It is something you create, choice by choice, action by action, day by day. Build it, protect it, and strengthen it. Because in the end, discipline is freedom. The freedom to live on your own terms, guided not by impulse or chaos, but by wisdom and purpose. If these lessons from Epictetus spoke to you, subscribe to Mental Fortress for more Stoic wisdom and deep insights into the human mind. Leave a comment below and share which of these 5 traps of discipline you struggle with most. Remember, self-discipline is not about perfection. It's about persistence. And every step you take toward mastery brings you closer to the life you were meant to live.